Absolute insanity. Do you realize what we have just witnessed over the past few weeks? Crypto should have been absolutely wrecked, but it hasn't been. The past few weeks, we've seen a major global conflict spiraling out of control. We've seen the oil price hit highs that it hasn't seen in years. The US president threatened to end a civilization in a tweet. Stock markets have crashed, alliances between different countries have been broken, and crypto should have been dumping. But it didn't. It went sideways, and all of a sudden, with a sniff of good news, it started to rally higher, leaving many different coins about to break out right now from key patterns that they've been stuck in for months. Things are about to get really exciting. So I'm going to break down everything that's gone on and everything we can look forward to from here. Do me a favor, hit the like button, and let's get into it. Now, we have obviously had an absolutely wild past 24 hours, but it's actually been crazy for far longer than that. But not many charts tell a story as well as the oil chart. You see, over the past couple of months, as there's been war in the Middle East between the US, Iran, and Israel, we saw the Straits of Hormuz get closed, where the majority of the oil has to pass through before it travels around to its global destination. That caused the oil price to spike nearly 68%, and this put massive pressure on the global economy, because the global economy obviously runs on oil. It goes in your vehicles, it goes in planes, it goes in plastics, it's used in power plants, it's used in pretty much every industry around the world. And when it spikes, it causes massive uncertainty. It causes stocks to fall. It causes every bank and institution to rush away from risky assets towards stable, dependable government bonds and things like that. And then all of a sudden, in the past 24 hours, we've seen the oil price drop by nearly 17.5%. This up here tells a very major picture of some significant stress and some huge macro swings that have been going on. And what's so impressive about all of this? Well, during the last few weeks of major escalation from the US and Israeli military against Iran, as well as Donald Trump from his keyboard, we have seen the Bitcoin price basically kind of going sideways and bouncing in and around this range. Which is kind of weird, because during this period of time, we saw the gold price get hammered, as well as a bunch of other assets get wrecked as well. But Bitcoin currently sits around $71,000, around 20% up from its 6th of February low. And if you jump across to the Ethereum chart right now, it's currently testing this downtrend, which has been stuck in since the 8th of October, before that monster 1010 crash. The Bitcoin price has a little bit of work to do, but again, isn't too far away from getting towards testing its downtrend. But the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, that's been in a downtrend since August, is actually currently breaking out as we speak. Now, what we need to understand here, before we think about whether or not this ceasefire is going to hold and what's been going on, is really why we have seen this price action despite the massive level of escalation that we have seen across global markets. And if you doubt that there's been significant escalation, you've only got to look at how Donald Trump, the US president, was starting to ramp up his tweets and what you saw across the media. I used Claude.ai to create basically this chart, which is the oil price, against some of Donald Trump's tweets, and then basically it listed out below the different tweets that he made on various different dates and whether they were dovish, i.e. good for risk assets, or hawkish, effectively going to have a negative effect on the markets. Now you can see that these basically start fairly green. A couple of red ones thrown in about rejecting ceasefires and things like that. They then remain green for a while, i.e. positive. Talks are going well, Iran agreed to most demands, we're negotiating right now, and then all of a sudden they go red. New regime, Iran threatens oil wells. We're going to have 2 to 3 more weeks of extremely hard strikes. A 48 ultimatum blowing up the entire country if no deal. Power plant day, we're going to blow up power plants and bridges. And then just yesterday, we're going to end a civilization. And what's absolutely wild is up until that point, we basically got to here on the chart. We didn't really see much excitement, but we didn't see that much damage either. So what's the reason behind it? Well, partly two things. At the start of all of this, we saw lots of kind of to and fro in what Donald Trump was saying. In one day, he was saying that talks are going well. The next day, talks are not going well. In one day, we're going to escalate things. In the next day, we're going to roll things back a bit. You know, we've seen lots of kind of chopping and changing that meant that after a while, what he was saying was losing the effect. But whatever he was saying, you could still see that the oil price was still sat up in here, indicating that the world's economy was still sat under significant stress. Countries like Australia were saying that they were down to their last 2 weeks of supplies. The UK, countries around Europe, were also all starting to panic about running out of oil. Because if you run out of oil, there's no fuel. And if there's no fuel, there's no transport, no logistics. How do people get food if there's no food to be able to travel around countries? How do oil-powered power plants run to supply electricity to various different places? You get the picture. Things were starting to look pretty drastic. And during this period of time, you would have expected a high-risk asset like Bitcoin to start going down hard. But it hasn't been. In fact, it has held this and started to rally a little bit higher. And there's a good reason, I believe, as to why it was unable to break down here. And it's simply because of what the price of Bitcoin represents. And all the price represents is people buying and selling, as well as people being leveraged either to the upside or to the downside. Effectively, when there is lots of people buying and less people selling, price will go up. And when there's lots of people selling and not that many people buying, price will go down. And the speed at which it goes down or up relies on whether a lot of the leverage is positioned to the upside or to the downside. So for example here, price came down very fast because a lot of people were stacked up waiting for price to bounce here in long positions. That meant that they had significant amounts of stop losses piled up underneath support. So when support breaks, everybody gets liquidated, which forces everybody to sell at the same time, whether they want to or not. A liquidated position, let's say $10 million long position, hits the stop loss. That then converts a long, where it's a buy, into a sell, capitulating the price even harder. And that's why price can spiral out of control like it did on the 10-10 event, not just for Bitcoin, but mostly for the altcoins. We then got this happen again. Lots of people stacked up in long positions. They get liquidated, price goes down. Now here as well, you had lots of people who were still holding their bags, being like, we're going to get a good bounce here. I'm still in the bull market. I'm willing to just hold on. We then get down past this point and everyone thinks, okay, this is not good for me. I'm going to get out. So what effectively happened is this. Everybody was out the market. Everybody who wanted to sell had already sold, had got out the market. And at this point, everybody who was leveraged long basically had no money left because they'd been going leverage long all the way down here, getting liquidated time and time again. And they suddenly gave up on getting liquidated. Fair enough. So they then decided that probably it's about time to go short. And then they start to go short and then their stop losses stack up above the price. And so the key point here is, even though we saw some pretty dangerous sounding tweets, some pretty dangerous sounding escalation of boots on the ground, putting mines out into the Straits of Hormuz, sinking oil tankers, dropping nuclear bombs and all sorts of other horrendous escalation news, the Bitcoin price physically couldn't get pushed down because there wasn't anyone willing to sell at this point. The people who already wanted to sell and got out already got smashed like multiple times already, which means that they were already sat in massive losses. And then around here, we saw selling at a massive realized loss. That means that people who were buying late into here were selling and prepared to capitulate. That's something that typically doesn't even happen until very, very late on before we start to head back towards the upside. Again, we saw open interest decreasing. We saw funding rates going into negative, telling us that no one was willing to go long anymore. And there was no one willing to go long anymore, then the price was pretty steady. Although pretty boring, pretty steady. Wasn't going to get forced down, and there wasn't any stop losses for it to get forced down into that could have caused a further capitulation event. But instead, we've started to see slow accumulation going on in this area. People who've been in Bitcoin for years and years, slowly just continuing to accumulate, buying the dip, dollar cost averaging, whatever you want to call it. Buying the fear, buying the blood in the streets. And these people have identified that buying Bitcoin somewhere around 60k is probably reasonable value. Even if it was to be able to dip a little bit under here, they've still identified that this is a good value zone. And since everybody right now is waiting to buy Bitcoin down at 45 or 50k based on this ceasefire failing, it can mean that the price won't be able to get there. I mean, let's think about this for a moment. Think about how brutal and how terrible the news has been over the past month or so, and it's been reflected in the oil prices, in the S&P 500, in the 10-year yields, in almost everything, apart from crypto. And I believe it's because crypto has already seen most of the pain. Crypto is probably the best forerunning indicator for stuff going on in the world. It's open over the weekends. People can trade it whenever they want. It's incredibly sensitive to what's going on in the markets. And it's accessible to buy or sell to pretty much everybody. So all I'm seeing right now is one potential threat to this, and multiple positive effects that could come in at any moment. We know that when negative news and information has been hitting the crypto market over the past few months, that we've barely seen much at all, apart from, a little bit of downside, but mostly we see a far greater reaction to positive news in the short term than we have been seeing to negative news. Now, what negative news might look like would be a failed ceasefire. A failed ceasefire with Iran, with the US, with Israel, etc. But I think it's fairly evident to anyone who is paying attention that that ended in a pretty dramatic way, with more and more escalatory messages from Trump, with more and more attack coming from Iran. And both of these countries wanted to get out of that conflict. They had the interest of wanting to get out. This wasn't a one-sided thing. And the way that that tweet came out, basically threatening to end a civilization, while the US doomsday jet was basically preparing itself over in Nebraska or wherever it is, to then an hour later announcing a ceasefire, is almost too perfect. How everything is lined up so perfectly. And what we've seen right now is how well this can react to a 2-week ceasefire. I think that once we get a full-on end to this war, or a full-on agreement in place, then you've got the potential to push this up further. On top of that, you've got things like the Clarity Act ready to get signed off potentially at any moment. We don't know whether it's going to be at any moment or whether it's going to take another month or two. But when that actually officially goes ahead, it effectively opens the floodgates for trillions of dollars to flood into crypto. It doesn't mean that it all has to enter into Bitcoin, but just having all that money enter into the system and giving a lot of people more access to Bitcoin, knowing that it no longer could be classified as a security, will cause Bitcoin to surge. And on top of Bitcoin surging, you know that the altcoins will get dragged up along with it, like they have done every single time Bitcoin shows any sort of green at all. So right now, as always, and what I've been saying over the past few months, is basically we are sat in a position right now where the downside risk versus the upside potential are completely skewed. That's literally the only way to be looking at this, in my opinion. I can show you endless numbers of indicators and charts and everything that typically has flashed when we're around a bottom. But really, the simplest thing is to just look at how we've reacted to what's been going on in the market over the past few weeks. It's been absolutely crazy. Can't believe how ridiculous things got. Now, over the next couple of days, as we start to see more stabilization of price and we start to see Ethereum looking to break out against Bitcoin, there is a chance that we start to see a bit more activity going on across altcoins. I made a video about altcoins the other day, but I think what's key to focus towards if you are starting to look to get back into the market is to identify coins and projects that have stood the test of time, that have been through some pretty dangerous, difficult periods of time, like we saw back last April, like we've seen more recently, like we saw maybe back in the past in 2024, and you will find stuff that when the market starts to get more and more positive again, give you a good potential risk to reward. Now, I personally believe that this ceasefire will turn into something more solid and we will see further capitulation of the oil price. And for that reason, I've been trading oil. And I've been doing that over on Yubit, which is linked down below in the description, because it gives me access to traditional finance. So not only can I trade crypto, but also I can trade things like oil, I can trade things like gold, stocks, forex, you name it. I have access to every single different market that I could want access to over on Yubit. It means that I can deposit crypto as well as fiat currency and be able to trade without restriction. It's also great for me because I travel a lot and it doesn't require KYC, which allows me to access this no matter where I am in the world. Now, right now they're running a deposit bonus, so if you sign up through the link down below, you can get up to a $20,000 bonus, but ultimately it's access to all these different markets, which is why I've been enjoying using Yubit over the past few days, because of the seamless move from crypto into TradFi. Now guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. I can do my best to bring you much more content coming up soon, so make sure you subscribe for that. Do me a favor, hit the like button if you got this far through, and leave a comment down below. Always helps me out more than you know. See you in the next one. Bye bye.